started, maybe some other beachgoers will trickle in. But thanks for coming out this morning despite the traffic. I'm Sarah Danver, the Executive Director. I'm really excited to be at our first fine art show last night. It was a great, very crowded reception, so that was fun. But we're here today to hear from Michael Kalmbach. He was the judge this year for the show. So if you were here last night and got to check out some of the pieces with ribbons with them, that was his doing, so he's going to have to explain himself today about some of the decisions, but just a little bit about him from my crib sheet, which is on the program in case you want more info. But he has his MFA from the University of Delaware. He was involved, he lives upstate and works in Wilmington, but he was involved with the creation of the Shipley Loft, which is an artist workspace, which is very cool. Chris White Gallery does very cool shows there. And then in 2011, he worked on opening the Creative Vision Factory. I would highly recommend following what they're doing. This is the best descriptive, fosters the creative potential of individuals on the behavioral health spectrum in a studio art environment. So it's a very cool space that is really building the community in downtown Wilmington. So I'm going to let him talk to you about how he went around and examined his artwork and determined which was best fit for awards this year. So.
Well, thank you. It was such a pleasure to come down here to the Rehoboth Art League. Yesterday, my wife Rebecca and I celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary. And so throughout the week up in Wilmington, I was saying to folks that I feel like I'm established enough in the arts in Delaware that Rehoboth Art League is underwriting my anniversary trip down there. But it was such a lovely time for me to come here. Sarah mentioned my day job. I run the place called the Creative Vision Factory. And, we're celebrating our 12-year anniversary this year. But we are a community art center that I often describe to people. It's like a high school art room that's ripped out of the school system and just put onto the streets of Wilmington and open for anybody to come in. And over the past 12 years, our funding comes from the Division of Substance Abuse and Mental Health. Our primary purpose is to serve individuals who are on this behavioral health spectrum. And over the years, we've become a safe haven for people experiencing homelessness, and also have developed a wide variety of artists and arts practices. And, we're working on a project with the curator from the Museum of Fine Arts Boston, Michelle Miller Fisher, working on this really cool project called Craft Schools of America. And last year she came to visit Creative Vision Factory. She's visiting all these craft schools across the country using Amtrak. And so Creative Vision Factory and one of our artists, Geraldo Gonzalez, is going to represent Delaware in the whole project, the new exhibition, Craft Schools of America. And so I mention all that because Geraldo Gonzalez, when I started working with this young man, he's on the autism spectrum. He makes these wildly technicolor drawings of public transit vehicles, and he makes them in the hundreds, like literally has thousands. And just a week ago, he's been working with us for the whole length of our program. Right before the pandemic hit, Geraldo was picked up by a gallery in Houston called Kolsch Gallery, and he was featured in their booth in the Outsider Art Fair. And supporters of our program bought train tickets for me and Geraldo to go up to the Outsider Art Fair in New York City. And it was a really great celebration, but 2 months later, the pandemic hit. And so our entire program comes to a halt. And this whole time that we were serving our population, we always knew a lot of people were experiencing homelessness. But when everything stopped and we had to see everybody outside of our door, the past 3 years, we're really coming out of a historic crisis where, not just were we creating a safe harbor and art space, but we had to really dig in and do a lot of direct service. So 3 years removed, coming down here to get the judge for Rehoboth Art League, it feels like a little micro sabbatical for me. And coming in here yesterday, and then when I came back in the afternoon, came back in the evening, and I said to my wife, I could have come in here 4 different times and picked 4 different series of works. And every time I came back in yesterday, I kept on noticing new things, gravitated towards new works. And then too, when you're judging a show like this, I always, I spent a long time, I think I'm now 2 years retired from the Delaware State Arts Council. I was on the Arts Council for a really long every year I'm always salty of the people who are left out. And so I think I do bring a little bit of that in. Anytime I am asked a jury show, I'm going to come at it probably a little sideways or a little left-handed, or try to like figure out like what's something that probably needs to have a little moment. And so yesterday it's like looking at all these works. When I came back and settled on the best of show piece, it's just a small piece that just kept on like I just had to keep coming back to it. And yesterday, in the true kind of like summer camp nonprofit scene here, there's a bunch of people stuffing envelopes for the organization. And so I didn't really have like a direct line to that work. And then when I finally came back around it and got up close to it, it just really resonated with me. And I think then too, I don't know, being like kind of a romantic, being at the beach. Every time I'm at the beach, I think of memories. I think of times when I was at the shore when I was a kid. My dad had a place north of Gunquit, Maine, and I spent a lot of my summers up there. All of our summers, Rebecca and I, here in Delaware, have been connected to these beaches. And so that piece, you know, the Game of Life, I think, you know, and I didn't see the title. All this stuff was kind of, I was blind to names and titles when I was doing the judging. But coming back to that piece, the checkerboard and how those old photographs kind of fit right in there. But also thinking about the kind of collection of lives, you know, visiting the Rehoboth Art League. Just, you know, we stayed in the cottage last night, walking around the garden, seeing some of the benches. There's this one bench that's dedicated, I forget the name of the artist, but it's dedicated to, I have to pull it out. I loved it. And I think about oftentimes what it means to have like a life in the arts. You know, sometimes you know, Sarah and I first met at the Delaware College of Art and Design, where I used to work in the admissions office for a short time. And you have kids come in and show you their portfolio, and they have all these dreams. And I've always been somebody who wanted to be like, you know, that art teacher that said, yes, you can do this, instead of like bombarding people with all the challenges. And so when I read this bench dedication over here behind the house, it just really resonated with me that, you know, this must be a life well lived. In loving memory of Pauline Theodora Howard, writer, artist, cowgirl, and storyteller. And so just being here too, just thinking of all the artists that have moved through here, when you look at these doors, you know, what a gift. You know, what a gift to be a member here, what a gift to be a part of an art community, what a gift to have a practice that kind of keeps us grounded, keeps us connected with tradition. But also too, is like, it's never ending. You know, and you know, the painting over here, Susan, right?
Yes.
Susan's painting. The awards, you know, we're looking for a best in show, but there's also an outstanding painting award, best photo. And again, I kept on coming back to that painting, you know, its form, its color, its palette, its playfulness. But then too, everybody brings their own kind of like, their own idiosyncratic background to these things. And also there's little echoes of Susan's paintings that reminded me of some prior painters in my life. One of my mentors at University of Delaware, Peter Williams. And there was like little nods in that painting that reminded me of some of Peter's work and just the composition and color. Kept on coming back to that. And oftentimes when I'm looking at art, and particularly after, you know, working in the studio that I work in, working with people who are untrained, working with people who are making things because they're compelled to make them. You know, oftentimes I'm not going to be drawn to something that is the most like technically efficient. It might be just being drawn to something that just captures you. You know, the heart wants what it wants. And being guided like that throughout the show, I think the honorable mention piece over here with this really interesting technique of laying the acrylic down in these kind of like thin lines, but that floating sofa by the moon, you know, this collection of flowers. It's almost too. It's like I almost wanted to kind of consider that a still life painting, and again, it was one of those paintings that I had to keep on coming back to. Trying to decide, you know, there's not many photographs in the show. But the one that was selected for best photograph is called Rush Hour, I believe. But just that little path. I've never visited the British Isles. I've never visited Ireland, but I'm, you know, looking at my DNA, I'm like 48% from that era. I feel called to that image. But the mixture of grays in that photograph and those And so too, it's like I think that last night when I came back, I got to meet Michael McSorley, who's a new member, I believe, and then too, I just love what happens at art shows and conversations. He's a new member, but he's moved here from Western Pennsylvania. I'm originally from Somerset, Pennsylvania. We just had like a really nice conversation. But looking at that portrait, when it came to the portrait awards, I mean, as soon as you walk into this building, you're gonna look straight ahead at like the most stunning portrait like ever painted in front of those beige tiles, and it's a gorgeous, perfect painting. And that person is going to have ribbons for the rest of their life. Like they'll always have flowers. But there's something about like trying to weigh these portraits that I just kind of kept on coming back to this piece right here. And then too, it's just in painting. I mean, just something as simple as these little holes in these blinds, and those little like fill forms of that simple kind of blue fill with a little speck of orange right next to it. It's just, I feel like this represents some of the magic of painting a simple mark, and that halo behind it. So it's a type of intimacy that made me lean towards that. And I had a hard time. I had a hard time not recognizing this painting right here. There's this other really great piece in the bottom gallery that is threaded together with all the small like pieces of colored thread. Like, oh, good lord, I just looked at that forever. Now I like want to see more like that. And so oftentimes when I'm looking at work, it's like I want to be kind of lured into it. I want to have a lot of questions. I want to wonder what's going on. And looking at the watercolor categories, there's a watercolor in this gallery that I gave like I think the top watercolor prize to, but it was a piece that I was having a lot of trouble with. I was walking around and I kept on coming back to it, and it just was really curious, like you know the texture of this image, what was being represented. I thought I was seeing other vignettes inside the image, and so I just kept coming back to it. And when I finally was narrowing it down, I decided I was like, there's something about this that is just really bringing me in. And when I finally flipped that name tag to then write this person in for this award, I come to find that it's a watercolor of a burned church that was set on fire. And so too, it's like thinking about like the kind of content that we choose and thinking of matching that with the medium. There's something there of trying to like capture that kind of decay in that particular medium. When we're also looking at all kinds of watercolor paintings and put a cat in a painting and I'm going to gravitate towards it. But there's something about that again too. So when we're making these kind of decisions, it's all very arbitrary, but it was just compelled towards that due to the mystery of it. And so, but again, like I said, when I came back here in the evening, I could have very easily just moved all the ribbons around. And again, too, I think it's during times like this, people are just compelled to move towards things that they're kind of aesthetically drawn to, and it's really just you know everybody who's making, everybody who's contributing. It's just the breadth of the work, the amount of different works, and the whole place itself. I really feel like it's just such a win for everybody, and it was just such a nice way to come down and celebrate the arts. I kept on getting. I've never seen these doors before, and so a big part of the stuff that I'm drawn to a lot of working at art schools. If you've ever been in any kind of art school bathroom, you're going to see like former art school graffiti. And it's the best. And so sometimes just like the little echoes of this place and the ghosts and the creators that it harbors and the stories that we get to tell. And I think then too, it's like having a summer retreat like this, being able to walk here this morning and all the old growth and the canopy of the trees. I've been my organization. We've been doing a lot of work lately with the Winter Tour Museum, and I have this pass that just enables me to go out there like whenever, go into the library whenever I want. And during these past 3 years of serving the unhoused in the peak of the pandemic, this place has become more than just a research place for me. It's become a sanctuary. And a lot of the work that we're doing with our artists as well is the thing that we've seen over the past 12 years is centering people's needs, giving them what they need, trying to figure out how to navigate all kinds of red tape with them is critically important. But also giving people the space to pursue desires, pursue wants. To when you're making art, it's kind of impossible not to be mindful. And so when we're making work, it's like very rarely are we thinking about the terrible thing that just happened to us. Very rarely while we're making work are we anticipating the next bad thing that's going to happen to us. We're kind of materially in the moment. And so to be able to have a site like this set in such a kind of beautiful environment, to me, just kind of speaks to the restorative potential of the work and of the arts. And I can't think of anything better to score. So, any questions?
I love the idea that the doors are like, the best piece from our collection of what we're looking for is like art school graffiti. I love that. Makes it a little more contemporary. I was just going to say, before anybody has questions, I also really enjoy the spectrum of work from this show every year. This is like the biggest summer show for us. And talking to some of the artists last night, like I was talking to, this is Mark Harris. This one, as soon as that went up, I was drawn to. He is really fascinated with the reproductive capabilities of art. He's a printmaker and making art accessible to everyone. He's very passionate about like low prices so that if you want art, you should be able to get it. So he was fascinating. I was also talking to the one next to the Best in Show last night. That's Freddie Nolan, and she is at least 80. She grew up taking classes here. She lives around the corner, and I didn't recognize that as her piece. I said, Freddie, I didn't see your work here this year, and she said, that's mine. And she said, I've been taking Zoom classes to learn how to do abstract art, and this was the first show I felt comfortable putting a more abstract piece in. So there's just, this is, you said he's a first-time member, the award winner. He's pretty accomplished, obviously, as a painter, but there's a wide range of artistic careers, I think, represented in this show, which is one of its merits. You can see a little of everything. And even some unexpected things from an 80-year-old painter who has never done abstract, but she did a great job. So if anybody, I know there's a couple artists here, if you have specific questions about your own pieces, go for it. The floor is open if you wish to comment.
I'd like to know if there's anybody here who does have a painting up. I'd like to see which one it is.
Mine's here. He's got a piece around on the other side. What was the award you got?
Something for excellence. It's excellent.
It is. Wonderful piece.
Mine's the black and white right there.
Ooh. Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Mine's the turtle all the way to the end of the top.
Mine's the red tree in the back.
I did it. It's brightly colored buildings. Beautiful wall.
Mine's the people on the boardwalk. The girl.
Which one is it?
Right. To the left of the bed.
Oh, wow.
The people on the boardwalk. See how they should on the boardwalk.
You do.
Right.
You do.
I'll pick on. I think that's my favorite activity of all. It's just people watch. Go down there and people watch.
Well, feel free to help yourself to coffee and donuts if you still want to browse the artwork, and we will thank Michael for making time to come down here on his anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.